We all know there's a definition of budgeting, which is managing the finances, your earned finances that you receive or as a gift. But it wouldn't be more as a gift; it's more earned finances and budgeting it in a way, directing or telling your money where you want it to go, down to the very cent. That's really what budgeting is, and.
Hello, everyone. Dondre Homer here. Welcome to the DHomer Real Estate podcast, where the focus is to make real estate, personal finance, and self-development fun, relatable, and digestible for everyone. I really appreciate it if you like, comment, subscribe, download, write a review, whatever the case may be, to help the algorithm. Still learning what that is, but I'm getting better at it. On today's show, we have a real special guest. This is someone who I look up to as a mentor. This is someone who has really changed my life in many ways that I don't even think I have time to get into. He is a pastor. He is a bishop. He is a husband. He is a father. And he's ultimately just an amazing person. Dr. Bishop Shawn Howard. How you doing?
Hey, Dondre, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. Thank you for
bless you.
Thank you. And again, thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast with me. I really appreciate it. I know you have a very, what's the word? The word crazy. You have a crazy schedule. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. But I want to get into the interview, but I first want to start off with some icebreaker questions. It's only 3 questions, just so the audience can get to know who you are, and for me to get to know you a little bit more as well. So the first question is, if you could choose, what animal would you choose to be?
Wow, if I could choose to be an animal,
yeah,
what animal I would choose to be? Tiger.
And is there a story behind that, or are you just tiger?
The tigers are huge, they're large, and they're one of the strongest animals. We know that the lion is the king of the jungle, but a tiger would take on a lion anytime, any day.
Okay, I love it. The second question, because I know you're really into real estate, is where would you build your dream home?
Wow, my dream home definitely has to be somewhere hot, where there's no snow. I appreciate the balance that God brings with snow and ice, but Lord, I'm not for snow and ice. So I'll end up somewhere like in Florida. That would be my dream home for sure. Definitely Florida.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from Canadians. Come from here and go to Florida. And the final question, this question is, when I go into every year, I have like a theme. People have resolutions that they may have, but I wanted to ask you, what is your theme or focus going into 2022?
Personally, my theme and focus for 2022 is rebuilding the altar of God in my life. And what does that altar mean to me? The altar means spending more passionate time, invested time, dedicated time in reading and fasting, in my communication, in my prayer life with God. Building up myself in the body of Christ and making sure I'm whole, spiritually, physically, and mentally, making sure I'm sound in all those areas. Because if you're not healthy, with a relationship with God, healthy in your mind, healthy in your body, you'll be no help to anyone else. You got to make sure that you're fit first before you can help others.
I love it. Look at this, my bishop, everybody. This is my bishop.
I tried, man. I tried, bro. I tried.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you for answering the icebreaker questions. And now that we got a little bit of chance to get to know you, I would love for you to formally introduce yourself to everyone and share a little bit about what you do.
Hey, no problem, man. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Dondre, for this wonderful opportunity to be a part of your podcast. I see big things happening. I see great things happening. The fact that you have a heart to share, your passion for what you do and to pour into others and so into others too. Is just a miraculous thing. And I applaud you for your efforts in what you're doing. And I pray that this podcast will be successful and touch many people who are going to be hearing it and feed them, the advice they need or give them nuggets to get in the right direction. I applaud you for that. Continue to do the excellent work that you're doing. But as you all know, this is Dondre. This is, your boy, Bishop Shawn Howard, Life Changers Church. I love God. I love people. I want to see the world change with the great gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But not only the gospel, I'm passionate about, making money. I'm passionate about establishing, ourselves as entrepreneurs. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about building up yourself and building up a future for your children, that they will have an inheritance left for them. Just to impact the world. I'm passionate about giving back, to the communities and making sure that everyone hears the knowledge and receives what they need in order to live a better quality of life. This is my role. This is my goal, to impact lives and, just improving how people get better in any way that they possibly can.
Awesome. I love it. So today's topic, we're going to discuss something that you just mentioned regarding, finances, but we want to break it down to the basics, to the core of things. And today's discussion, we're going to be talking about creating a budget. Some people are going to hear it and be like, what, creating a budget? And my response to that is, if creating a budget was so easy, a lot of people wouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck. That's my honest opinion, So I wanted to, before we dive into strategies and things of that nature, I'd love for you to share, a little bit about your financial story before learning the importance of budgeting.
Wow. I'm not sure if your podcast is that long, bro. Take up a lot of time, but oh man, story in a nutshell. At a young age, I always had a desire and a passion to thrive for more, to push for more. I've watched my grandfather and grandmother. They were business owners and they owned a printing press in Trinidad. Started off in Guyana, migrated to Trinidad, and owned a printing press. So my dad's side of the family came from money. Like they were well put together, and I watched that, in my family history and learned a few tricks. But somewhere along the way, some bad habits fell in place growing up, and watching different sides of my father's side and my mother's side handling money. They struggled. They had a hard time, with finances in Canada, and that those sort of habits migrated to me. Just inherited it, and had a bad way with dealing with money, not budgeting, not spending correctly. Had a consumer mentality, just want to buy, purchase, and hold on to things and not worry about savings. It's only when I got into my teenage years, well, a little younger, I had this desire to run my own business. So I ended up doing the paper route. I was doing the paper route, and then you Bishop's a hustler, man. So I ended up not only doing the Toronto Sun route, I did the Toronto Star, I did the Globe and Mail. I was taking over all the routes, man. And I had a group of guys working with me in the community, and I would pay them to do the route with me. And then I paid them a small salary. It was $25 a week. And that was big money when we were in year 11, 12 years old. But I was pocketing like $600-700, every 2 weeks.
Wow.
I was giving them $25-50 a week for helping me out. So I always had this entrepreneur mind. But when I got married, that's when my finances really took a downfall, because I wasn't prepared, for what a man's role and a man's responsibility to take care of his home, financially sound, and also partner with my wife to make sure that we could accomplish those goals. That's when the rude awakening took place. The great awakening, happened. I had to put some real principles, real structure in place in order for us to be successful, in order for us to see where we are now. And I give God thanks for the journey that we went through. It was ugly. That's just a small snippet of it. But that's what I'll share for now.
I want to thank you for sharing and being so authentic and real. You shared that in the second part that when you became married or when you got that's when you got the downfall. And I can be honest and be like, yo, when you're young and married,
Oh yeah.
You don't really understand the journey ahead. So it's very important, that you learn more about your finances and prepare yourself with your finances, because it can be a very slippery slope. So you mentioned that, and I want to go on to the second question, where it's, what was that pivotal moment that changed the trajectory of your financial life as a married man? Because you had the money when you were younger, and then you took that slope when you got married. So what was that pivotal point that kind of changed the trajectory when you were married?
Yeah. The pivotal point for us to change the trajectory when we got married, we weren't managing our finances properly. My wife, Colleen, she had a great job. We got married I was 22. She was 21. She was working a great job. I think she was making like $50,000 a year. I was making, I think, about 45 or around the same at the time, just getting into my career as a licensed chef. And we bought our first condominium, raised the money, got our first condominium where we got married, and life was good. It's only like 2-3 years into the marriage, the pivotal point for us is I realized the budget wasn't working out. We were making great money at the time, but we weren't taking the time to sit down and budget our finances, dedicate where our money's supposed to go. And we weren't tithing. We weren't, saving. We weren't putting, basic biblical principles in place to help us succeed, or never took the time to educate ourselves regarding money, how money works, what's the power of money, what could you do, RSPs, or our retirement savings plans, and putting away for our children. We didn't really know much about that, and the light came on when I lost everything. I mean, we lost everything. I've ended up filing bankruptcy on my 25th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Lost everything. Lost my condominium, lost my cars, lost everything. I was left out. And when everything was said and done, our home was sold, and we walked out. We walked out with $100 turned in. And I had to stay with my brother. I stayed with my brother. I had to move with my brother, with my wife, for 1 year. And in 1 year, God turned it all around because my mindset has changed. But that was a pivotal point for me. Almost cost me my marriage, but thanks to God that everything worked out well. And I'm here to laugh about it now. But while I was going through it, it wasn't a funny moment.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine. Thank you for sharing. So I would love to dive into, the basics of budgeting, because that is something that you learned, obviously, going through the turmoil of bankruptcy. So I'd love to ask a two-part question, which is, what is budgeting and why is budgeting important?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Loaded question. So what is budgeting? We all know there's a definition of budgeting, which is managing the finances, your earned finances that you receive or as a gift. But it wouldn't be more as a gift, it's more earned finances, and budgeting it in a way, directing or telling your money where you want it to go, down to the very cent. That's really what budgeting is. And the second part of the question, could you repeat that for me?
Why is budgeting important?
Yeah, so why I put budgeting is important is the fact that, if you don't budget your money, you're not planning to succeed. Matter of fact, without a plan, it's still a plan, and that plan is to fail. All right, so if you're intentional about, telling your money where to go, plan, be intentional about budgeting. First tip for my household, what we do, when the finances come in, well, my wife and I, we sit down we sit down together, we talk together, and we budget. And how we create our budget sheet is, we write out our income, we write out our expenses. We have our income summary report, how much money's coming in weekly or every 2 weeks or monthly, and we write out, our expenses, and then we match it together, budget it all through. But we fully go through it with a thorough fine-tune comb, and we sign our funds. So budgeting is taking the time to tell your money where to go, not wondering where your money went after you looked in your bank account, but telling your money where to go. That's pretty much budgeting in the short form.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for, let's say, someone who is coming out of high school now, and they're now getting into college, or let's scratch that. They just finished their university college program and they're getting ready into the real world with working. What are some 5 tips that you can give that person looking to budget and effectively budget? So you touched on a few things, but what are some other things that you think that can that will effectively help them budget correctly?
Yeah, budgeting is tricky because everybody believes they have the right system, or they work on many systems. I've heard of so many things. Dave Ramsey, this course, that course, this course, and I done it all. I done a lot myself. But at the end of receiving all that knowledge, I had to develop a system that worked for my household, my family. You can't go in with the mentality, like just a single person budgeting finances, especially if you're married. If you're single, with the analogy, the question that you asked, I would answer it this way. I would say, write out your income, write out your expenses on a spreadsheet, put them side by side, and make sure you're living within your budget. For me, I believe in the principles of God. As a Christian, I believe in tithing. I don't tithe because I have to. I tithe because I choose to. I don't tithe because I have to. I tithe because I want to. Right? I tithe because of the relationship that I have with God, and I realize that He is first in my life. So no matter what income comes in, no matter how small or how large the number is, I make sure I give God His 10%. I give God 10%. Sometimes I give more, right? But I never give less. I give 10% or more based on, what I want to give, to just appreciate God and say how much I love Him. Once I know that 10% is done, or whatever budget you decide to give, but I'm starting out with 10% because we're creating a budget. So you give your 10%, you're left with 90%. If you never knew you had 90%, you'll never know you need to budget. A lot of people get the 100% check and then they go, wow.
Yeah.
Because they don't even know it's 100%. They just know they have $700, $800, $2,000, $3,000, and then they go balling because they think they can do whatever. But if you start to budget and you take that 10% and you give it to God, the first thing that will happen is like, why? I really gave God a whole heap of money here, and I give it to the church. And then you realize how much you really have. And with that mentality, then it will cause you to give or to save or to tell your money where to go. So what I would suggest is, if you're a tither, I would say give God His 10% first. Number 2, pay yourself 10%. Put away 10% in savings and make sure that that's locked away in case anything happens. Number 3, take another 10% and establish an emergency fund. That's not savings now. It's an emergency fund. 10% goes to God, charity. 10% goes, to savings to build up your future. 10% goes towards an emergency fund. Have a cap for your emergency fund, whether it's $1,000, $2,000. I would normally like to say have at least enough money in your emergency funds to cover 1 month or 2 months worth of expenses. That's what I would say. And then what does that leave you with? If you took away 30%, that leaves you with 70%. All your expenses, everything that you're responsible for doing should be able to be managed in that 70%. and it should last you until your next paycheck. You never want to be at zero. It should last you and at least till your next check, and then you start it all over again, because you need to build for the future. So that's just my humble opinion. I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing what I've learned and some of the principles that I put into practice with our personal finances and my family finances.
That's awesome. Thank you again for sharing. So now I have a couple questions to piggyback off of that. So when it comes to creating a spreadsheet, are there specific apps that you use, or are there specific do you write on a piece of paper specific apps? Like what exactly, or how do you create your spreadsheets to make it plain for you?
Yeah, I have a whole budgeting system and program that we purchased, and me and my wife put in all the numbers, but we didn't start off like that. And not everyone's able to probably afford a budgeting system like that right now. So you could start it off in a spreadsheet. It's good to have a visual, have it in front of you, and on the same line. So create a spreadsheet of your income, of when it comes in, the date it comes in, have it on a calendar, and then you could put your bills, have it when they're due on the calendar, and then also put into some subject lines, whether it's a calendar for now starting off, and put spending money, lunch money, that Tim Hortons coffee, or that dollar Tim Hortons, or that Timbits that you buy every day. A dollar's still a dollar. If you buy one coffee a day, or two coffee a day, you add it up, that's $62 if it's a 31-day month, right? It could be $60 if it's a 30-day month. It all depends. And and many times we buy a little extra. That doesn't include your lunch, or sometimes we eat out for dinner. We want to have fun, or going to the barber, getting that lineup, whether it's weekly, monthly, whatever. Budget everything that you could possibly think of. You want to know where every penny goes, and it will help you to create a proper budget. It's only till you know where your money's going or what you spend, and you write it down, then you could formally address it where to go. You can put it on a spreadsheet after that and say, okay, based on my habits, this is what I have for lunch and for eating snacks, or for buying miscellaneous foods, or whatever. When I stop at the gas station, I want to grab a bag of chips, some nuts, some water, whatever. Have a miscellaneous fund, or you could just say snacks and food. And this budget is based on $100 a week or $50 a week, whatever that is, and stick within that budget. And all you have is $50 a week. You put it in the envelope system if you want, and just take the cash out, keep it in an envelope. And when that envelope is done, whether it's a Wednesday or a Friday, you got to stick within it and make sure you budget your money. So that's a basic way of budgeting and organizing yourself. That's what I would say, to start off, until you find more strategic ways that will help you and your family manage your money better.
Awesome. So I want to also digress with this question, because you mentioned 10% tithing, and me as a tither, this is what I tithe as well. But I'm curious to know personally, like, do you tithe off of your gross, or is it best to tithe off of your net? Like, this is something that I'm curious to know, and would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, some people look at it, tithe. If I tithe off my net or my gross, what does it matter? I'm still tithing, right? That's how some people were. When I first started tithing, I was tithing off my net. I was just tithing and just giving God what belonged to God, because I was just giving my 10%. I heard it was the right thing to do. I studied it for myself. I had a personal conviction, and I said, okay, God, I'm going to put you first. I'm trusting you with my life. Why not trust you with my finances? So I said, okay, God, I just started tithing, and I was tithing off my net. It's only, when I started really looking how finances worked and seeing how it worked, I'm like, hold on. If you look at your check and you see you pay CPP and the federal tax, and, if you're in a union and if you have a saving plan, you see all these taxes, and sometimes the taxes are just as high as your check that comes off,
Yeah.
you know. And then I realized, okay, this is what I got after I paid my taxes. And if the government didn't ask me about taking it, they just took it first because that's the land we live in, and that's the dues that we have to pay. Why? God is such a gentleman. He's such a God that he's not taking it from you first, like the government. He's asking you. He's asking you. He's pretty much saying, you know, if you love me and you love the kingdom and you want to see this thing work, just put me first. He's not asking for anything. He's just saying, put me first, right? So when that realization came to me, when that light came to me, I decided to start tithing off of my gross. And you know, that was many years ago. And that's just my personal conviction. I'm not going to say what's wrong or what's right. You really have to do based on what you believe in your heart, what God is saying to you, and know by reading and studying the word, and give wholeheartedly from your heart.
Awesome. I thank you. Thank you. This is something that, again, I was curious to know for myself, like, okay, because, you know, I'm curious to know, like, okay, you tithe off your net, tithe off your growth, but as you mentioned, it's more so, you know, your personal conviction, you know, of yourself, right? So you mentioned we discussed tithing or discussed budgeting with someone who's single, and I'm curious to know, like, what are your thoughts of couples budgeting together? Is that something that you would recommend for couples to come together and budget, or, you know, essentially like, my money is this money, is my money is my money?
Yeah.
For bills that we have together, then we attack those together. But that's like, or, you know what, everyone, we have a melting pot of finances, all of our money's in one, and this is how we're gonna divvy everything. What are your thoughts on couples budgeting together?
Yeah, it's touchy. Again, it's a very sensitive topic, right? When it comes to couples, because every couple manages money, you know, differently. Some have a healthy way of managing their funds. Some people have an unhealthy way of managing their funds, and you will never know what's healthy from unhealthy until you're educated, right? Or until you hear other stories or other people, you know, communicating to you, until you know, do the research for yourself and see how money works. So I'm not going to say what's right or what's wrong. There's some things that I could definitely point out and say what's right and what's wrong. And again, I'm not an expert. I've just you know, applied some principles that I've learned through education and much prayer, you know, much communication with my wife, and we've learned to work things together. So I would say, you know, for me in my household, you know, like I said, any income that comes in, whether it's a gift, whether it's earned income, whether it's, you know, a blessing for someone or honorarium from a speaking engagement or whatever, we've tithe on everything right off the bat, everything. We make sure we put away 10% in savings. In other words, you pay yourself and put that away. You know, we take another 10% and we make sure we establish our emergency funds. An emergency fund could be anything, could be a car, could be a sporadic plane ticket you have to buy because somebody passed away or died, or you may have to send money, you know, to your children, your kids, and y'all ain't reached that stage yet, you know, Dondre. But when you're at my stage, you have big old grown kids like Malachi, CJ, and these guys are out the country. You get these sporadic calls. Your dad send me 100. Your dad send me 200. Your dad, you know, I got this coming up. Can you send me 500? You're like, why you think money grow on tree, boy? You know, but if you don't manage, if you don't plan, you'll never get there. So I would strongly advise couples to sit down, communicate, and create a financial strategy that is in the best interest of your family, not in the best interest of an individual, not in the best interest of the male or female, but what's in the best interest of the family. Establish some goals where you want to succeed, and start working towards that. So once bills are coming in, sit down, take the time to hear your spouse's roles and responsibilities. In other words, for bills that he or she may have to pay. Work it out together that you guys are making sure you're meeting everyone's bill on time. It may not be on time, it may be a few days late when you're first starting out or whatever, but try to make sure you budget it so that it's on time, and make sure everybody is happy. And there may be some sacrifices that need to be made in the beginning, and it's not going to look good. I'm telling you, Pastor C and I, we had our days of fighting, and we had our days of arguing. We had our days of yelling at each other, but we finally developed a system by the grace of God that worked for both of our families, right? So we sat down, we budgeted together. There's normally one couple that's better with finances than the other. Pastor C, Colleen, my wife, great woman, love her to death. She's great with finances. She's great with budgeting. She's great with putting her funds away. And she came from a family that's good with their money. Like, she came from money. I'll put it that way. She came from money. She's good with managing her finances. So she had a lot of principles that I didn't have growing up, or I lost because that was not poured into me. And by the grace of God, through her father, he took the time to show me a lot regarding finances, and just watching how we lived, watching how we budgeted, watching the communications and learning from him. A lot of the financial skills I've learned, I inherited from her father, and I give God thanks for that, along with, me educating myself in finances. It has really helped. But take the time to communicate and, with your wife, and work it out. One's always going to be better than the other. And it's okay if it's okay if the wife's better. Right? I'm not saying Colleen's better. No, I'm just saying she's really good. I'm really good too. But we both manage the money well. And in our household, I'm the one that more manages the finances. I pretty much manage all the finances, but I don't manage it without her input.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
She is completely involved in the budgeting system. Some things she may not know about because I need to make a sporadic decision, but it's always in the best interest of the family, not an individual, right? It's selfless. It's not selfish, it's selfless, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely amazing. That's great gems right there. Young couples, who are looking to grow together, and it's important that we involve each other, and it's always the best interest of the family. Because I know, as a single person, you're so focused on yourself, so that when you're coming, so when you're coming into a team, it's like, it's hard to, involve that individual. But as you mentioned, it's going to be bumpy. Like, there's always bumps in the road. However, making sure that your focus is always in the best of the family will always win. We're almost done. We're going to wrap up soon, but a question came to mind. Earlier this week, I went on live. Excuse you.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I went on live and I was talking about credit, but I wanted to ask you, what are some practical ways to teach our children about budgeting? Because I find that, in the profession that I'm in, at real estate, and I come across a lot of people who inquire about real estate, and some finances may not be the greatest. However, I'm curious to know, how do we practically implement it into our children? You mentioned that you have 3 children yourself, right? So how do you teach your children to be better than you were back in the day?
Yeah, well, again, great question. And anytime you have to start training or teaching or passing the baton, it's very challenging, and you have to make sure you're doing it in the right heart. But most of all, children are like sponges. They absorb everything. They watch how you play around with your wife, or you kiss her, or you're cooking together. They're listening when you're arguing, fighting. And they also watch money. They may not have the full concept of it, but they're watching and learning. So take the time to be intentional about pouring into your children with money. At a young age, I started teaching Malachi, Caleb, and Jordan regarding finances. Gave them books, spoke to them about money, let them watch a couple, YouTube clips, or, little cartoons about finances. We had a lot of games about money and putting away things in the bank, and always talking to them about funds, but we were intentional about making sure that they understood, what's God's views about money, how we spend our money. I teach them, to I'm normally the one that goes grocery shopping, right, for the household. I would take them with me at a young age, and I'll let them look at certain things like, you want a pack of Oreo cookies? How much is that Oreo cookie? They're like, oh, that is $4.99, and you get the super double, Oreo cookie.
The super stuff.
It's $4.99. It's the big one, and I'm like, okay, how many cookies in there? Oh, that 40 cookies. Okay. Oh, what about the other one? It's $1.99 that has 60 cookies. But it's not double one. I said, okay, so do the math. Which one you think costs more? The one that has the big cookies or the one that has the small cookies? How much are you getting? How much is it per cookie? You do little games like that to figure out so they can do the math, and then they make a choice, and you tell them, okay, this is the better buy. Right? Not because that it has more, or because the fact that it's cheaper. You're spending less money and you're getting your value. So I did a little things like that. That may seem extreme to some people, they say, why are you doing all of that? And that's just one example, but I really took the time to show them the importance of money. Don't become a consumer, just buying because you want something. Just because you could buy something, you can afford it, doesn't mean you go get it. Teach them the importance of delayed gratification. Teach them the importance of, just because you buy it doesn't mean you want it, right? I love to do window shopping. And my wife doesn't like to do window shopping because she's like, why torment yourself with that? And if you see something that you like, why? And you can't buy it because you don't have the money. But I like to do window shopping because I like to shop. I like to see the prices. I like to check around, and I won't buy it right away. I wait till sale comes. I buy everything on sale. I don't buy nothing at the price stuff pretty much. Well, I try to make sure I buy as much things on sale as possible, but I take the time to do my research. I just don't buy things out of the blue because I just want it. I take the time to buy it, learn the power of delayed gratification, right? And managing it because it's there and I have the money. I just don't buy it. I teach my kids at a young age, if you want a pair of Jordans, if you want, anything, a computer or whatever, make sure you can buy it at least 3 times before you buy it once. So that way you'll never be broke, right? Because a lot of people say, okay, I want a MacBook, I want an iPhone. I don't deal with Androids. They're just horrible phones. I'm just playing with you. They're good phones. I'm just saying, if you're gonna buy something, don't save and then buy it because then you're broke because you only saved for that one thing.
Yeah.
But if you saved on a regular basis and then made it a part of your everyday lifestyle, or you want something, you have a pair of Jordans that's $200-300. Make sure you have $900 saved. Make sure you can buy it at least 3-4 times before you buy it once, so that when you buy it once, you can still buy it another 2 times. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that way you never broke. So keep that. This is a simple system that I taught my kids to make sure that they always have money. Right now, I could, if I could share, what Malachi is rocking in his account and what CJ has in his account and what Jordan, like some people be like, nah, Bishop, you're lying, but I give God thanks. My kids have some good financial management skills by the grace of God.
And it comes from you, and it's amazing, what you're able to instill into them, because then they're now able to take that, and it's like a domino effect, because like obviously when they get older, they're able to then teach their kids and so on and so forth. So that's definitely a wonderful way of teaching your kids. We are going to be going into the final question. And again, thank you so much for taking the time. The final question is, what advice would you give a single person or a couple just to start the conversation of importance of budgeting? Because some, again, don't understand delayed gratification. Some don't. Some are such consumers, right?
Yeah.
How would you advise someone who's like, you know what? I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. How do I introduce this conversation to my spouse, or how do I even just have this conversation with myself to be like, all right, cool. A change needs to be done. How would you address that?
Yeah, it's again an awesome question. So whether you're single or married, I think the importance of budgeting is crucial. And whether you're having the conversation with your spouse or with yourself, you got to make sure you get it. And best thing to do is seek advice, seek clarity, seek clarification. Don't be stuck with your own way of thinking. Speak to a financial officer, speak to a financial advisor, speak to people who understand and know how money works. Go through a whole assessment and learn how to budget your finances. Read a lot of books. If you're an individual, to get things together. But the primary question was, how do you begin talking about it with your spouse or your, that fiance or that loved one or whatever? I think don't wait to talk about finances because it's a problem. If you wait to speak about it because there's a problem, I wouldn't say it's too late, but it's gone far enough. Don't wait for a problem to discuss a problem.
Yeah.
Try to foresee it by the habits and everyday life skills. We have to remember, money takes a long time to earn, but it takes no time to spend.
Yep.
It takes a long time to earn and no time to spend. And if you are cautious about how much blood, sweat, and tears and hours that you put in to gain that dollar, you won't be in a hurry to spend it on anything because you value it. So take the time to approach your spouse, whether he or she, for the females that are listening, and for the males that are communicating with their, significant other, take the time to approach it when you're not heated, when there's not an argument, when there's not a problem. Even if there's a problem, try to approach it with a soft, calm voice. Try not to be angry or frustrating, and just really talk about, the finances. What are the goals that you two want to accomplish? Where you want to go from here? Some people say, my wife has her own account and I have my own account, and we put money into one account. And some people think, oh man, that's crazy. You guys are married. Why do you have separate accounts? It may work for them, right? It just may work for them, and that works. So some couples may have all their money pooled in one account, and that works for them too. So there's no right or wrong way. I have I think 3 or 4 accounts outside of the one I share with my wife, and same with her. And we make sure we budget and have money in all those accounts, but we make sure our role and our responsibilities to take care of the things that matter for the family first. So make sure you take the time to approach it with your significant other, and be intentional about speaking about your future. I would strongly suggest, take that. Be intentional. Be intentional. I can't stress it enough. I love to use examples, and take the time. Yeah, take the time. Set a day once a week. Thursday's my day. Thursday is my day. For example, every Thursday, every week, I sit down. We speak with my wife, and we go over our finances, and we know where the money's going for the following week. And we sit down and talk. We don't always agree on everything, and that's fine, because she has her opinion, I have my opinion, and it's okay. Agree to disagree, but you don't have to be angry. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to be violent. You don't have to raise your voice. It's okay to have another opinion, but always do what's in the best interest of the family and the best interest of the marriage, and you guys will come up with the proper outcome where you want to go.
That is.
Try it.
Thank you. Okay, these are great gems that I feel like people, and these are practical gems that people can actually take and implement now, right? Because again, like I said earlier, I know on the topic of budgeting, people be like, what? Why are we talking about budgeting? But the reality is, budgeting was so easy, not so much people will be living paycheck to paycheck.
I'm telling you, Dondre, it's so true. And if we budget, like, mind you, we're always going to start living from paycheck to paycheck when you first start out.
Yeah,
That's the way we start. But we want to grow our money to get better. Not everyone gets rich by working. You get rich by how you use your money. Allow your money to work for you. You don't need to work for your money.
Yeah.
Right? You work for your money, but allow your money to eventually work for you so that, you work 8 hours a day. Some of us work 10 hours a day. Some of us 12 hours a day. And after they take the taxes away, it's
Yeah.
it's like, man, what I used to hear the saying, I'm putting in the work, man. I'm putting in the work. I'm chasing that dollar. And after taxes, you get 50 cents. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so what are you going to do with the 50 cents that you have remaining? I don't quit and give up. I figure out how I'm going to use that 50 cents to work for me. So as I was saying, you work for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and then you sleep for 8, maybe hours a day or more, or even less, max. And your money's not working at that time because you're not working. But if you can make your money work for you during that time, money doesn't sleep. It doesn't have a life. It just has a system that works.
Yeah.
So make your money work for you. And when you get to that stage of life of building residual income, having multiple streams of income, whether it's investments or real estate, or you're selling cars, or you have a product that you're selling, or you're servicing the community, or your family, friends, and loved ones, that will generate an income. Your gifts and talents, your skill set will make room for you. And you need to figure out a way how to generate an income, a legal income, by the way. A legal income, I gotta make that loud. A legal income, by the way, to make sure it's gotta work. But some people just do what they gotta do to make sure they eat, right? But you wanna make sure you're eating healthy. And you're eating good. So residual income is extremely important. So I would say, you start off living paycheck to paycheck, and that's just the start. It's not the finish. That's not the end of it. Keep going. I remember, when I filed bankruptcy on my 25th birthday, literally on my 25th birthday, I filed bankruptcy.
Crazy to me.
It was an eye-opening for me, and I didn't have to file bankruptcy because I was bad with my money. I made pretty fair financial decisions, but I made a bad business decision, which caused me to file bankruptcy. A bad business decision that caused me to file bankruptcy, where we weren't incorporated and they came after us as an individual, and I saw the consequences for it. So I learned my mistakes, and I learned to make better decisions, investments, and move forward. There was times where I was afraid to go into the bank, bro. I was afraid to go into the bank. I wasn't sure if the SWAT team was waiting for me, or there was a time I went into the bank. I don't know if the police are gonna arrest me or not, man, because they're like, this Negro is gonna cash a bounce check, or this man have no money. I was afraid to go to the grocery store. Like, there was a time in my life I went to the grocery store, and like I shared this testimony with you, and knowing that the money was there, and then went to cash out the groceries, decline. And I know the money was there, and the money was old, and the money's not there, then the money goes. We just weren't responsible back then, and I wept and I wailed and I cried. And I remember I said, man, God, I can't do this no more. And I really started applying the principles of God, value systems, biblical systems, practical systems, that I've learned with money in my life. And now, I could give God thanks. I'm cashing small checks. I'm cashing big checks. I'm cashing large checks. I could personally testify and, share. I remember the first, big check we cashed. I'm talking like over $50,000. I could testify cashing our first $100,000 check. I made sure I was wearing my tracksuit, my hoodie on, like a rough raft. And then I cashed a check and I walked away. A few weeks later, I came with another check, 20 grand.
Yeah.
Cash. Another week, I came with a $38,000 check, and then this young guy looks at me. He's like, "Oh, sir, we have to ask you. Are these checks going to be regularly coming? I just want to verify your date of birth and all kind of stuff." And then he's telling me, "I'll put a hold on the money." I'm like, "Go put a hold on it. It's fine, whatever." But now, they start looking at you differently when you have money in your account, and they see that you're doing legit things. So I give God thanks, for the banking system. It's not always fair, but one thing I can tell you with any couple that's learning to budget, learning to, put your finances together, or you're single, numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers tell the truth. They don't lie. It's our systems that fail. Our mind is probably not in the right place, but numbers don't lie. 1 + 1 = 2, man.
Yeah.
There's nowhere in the world you're gonna go and you're gonna say 1 + 1 = 4, or 1,000. Numbers don't lie. Our hearts don't tell us the truth. Our passions may become more a perception of reality that we want to live by, but live by the numbers. The numbers don't lie, and learn how to multiply those numbers by the grace of God. Learn how to make those numbers work for you. They'll always tell you the truth. Always tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Numbers don't.
Yes. Numbers do not lie.
That's right. That's
Thank
right.
you for sharing that. That is amazing. And again, we're talking about budgeting, but as Bishop said, once you learn, your ABCs and you go through grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, then you get into the big boy leagues when you start doing, residual income, and you start learning investing.
Yeah.
One of our previous episodes, we discussed, the stock market. I would love to know, like, for you personally, like, what are your, like, I don't want to get too much of your details, but like, what are some investment strategies that you think works best for you, regarding like your stocks? I know we're in cryptocurrency right now. NFTs. I'm now hearing about the metaverse. There's different things. Obviously, real estate, something that which I'm in. But like, for you, like, what do you like when it comes to the investing, and why?
Sorry about that. Yeah, well, for me, I love all types of investments, but I find what works for me, my family, is investments, period. And what I mean in investments, period, is our first love was real estate. It's always going to be, real estate will always be our first love. We've made some great money concerning real estate. Most of my investments and my residual income is from real estate. Whether purchasing properties with a financial company or coming together with another company. And, we have a company that I work with finances, and we buy real estate, we buy property, we help people renovate their homes and all kinds of stuff. So real estate would always be number one for me. Stock market, I didn't really take a liking to the stock market until about, I would say, 10 years ago. Where I started buying some shares and becoming interested in the stock market. I made some good money during stock market, but nothing like real estate. I started cryptocurrency a few years back. I would say about 7 years back, give or take. Started small, and now, still building up. I wouldn't say it's the healthiest of healthies, but it's getting where it needs to go. But don't be afraid to dip your hand in a few things, but make sure you understand it.
Yes.
Make sure you know how it works. Make sure you take the time to educate yourself on it, and communicate in a healthy manner to gain the residual income. And know that anytime that you're looking into investing, whether it's the stock market, cryptocurrency, forex, or real estate, understand and know that there's a possibility that you could take a hit, you could take a loss, and make sure that you know what that hit or what that loss could be. without making you want to jump off a building or to commit suicide. Learn that money's not your everything, right?
Yeah.
We've lost funds. I think I was in my late 20s, 28, 29 years old. I made a great investment in the stock market, and I invested $5,000. In a year and a half, we were able to grow that investment in a stock that we worked out to 67 or $68,000.
In a year?
Yeah, in about 2 years, say 2 years, give or take. It took about 2 years.
Okay.
And I was like, hey babes, let's take out some money. Let's take out some money. She's like, oh no, let's wait, let's let it grow because we're gonna buy our house or we're gonna save or whatever. And I agreed to go ahead and do it with her. And then a week later, when I checked,
no,
the stock dropped.
Oh, significantly?
It dropped significantly to like 10,000.
Ooh.
And I was like, you know what? Let's just take that $10,000 and run, because at least I made double than what I invested.
Yeah.
But it was disappointing because if we left it in there, it would have went well. And that's just one example of things that are happening now. But the way I looked at it, as much as that money was investing, I never had it in my hand. So as much as my money, I wasn't living my life depending on that money. That's why I was able to, when I lost it, it bothered me, but I'm not gonna, jump off a building and go cry wolf and all kind of stuff. I learned from my mistakes, learned to watch the stock market, learned to invest my money properly. There's tons of stories, man. We've lost a lot of money, but we made it all back by the grace of God and continue to press better. And again, like I said, I'm no expert. We still make mistakes, and I have a financial advisor that I run everything by, a trusted financial advisor that I've been using for years. I've educated myself and learned to make sure you have your RSPs, saving plans, saving for the children, and getting things together. And that's by all of these collaborations, melange of educational systems, I've been able to establish a good network for our family. And my wife she's financially secure. I can say that, and there's no other problems because it's financially secure. Y'all, you married men know what I'm talking about. When, when the wife is not financially secure, like all doors closed, and I ain't having that. I ain't having that. Just being real.
Yeah. And I love how real you are. Again, I'm honored to have you as my bishop, because again, I learned so much, and the fact that you're so open and transparent and sharing these stories, because it sometimes, especially when I first got married, and I'm here trying to figure things out. It's an amazing feeling to know, like, I have someone that can be like, hey, I need help. Hello, I need help. So, I want to thank you. And I want to just say this last quote, because before we end off, because you said something, regarding the investing and investments, for people to always do your due diligence. It's always important to do your own due diligence, do your own research, understand. But you mentioned that you're not afraid to at least dive into it. And I saw this tweet yesterday where a lady was saying kids are out here turning into millionaires, getting into the NFT world. I'll be damned if I don't at least try to understand and stay ignorant. And the quote that I put was, a closed mind is the most expensive thing you can ever have. So that you're so open to at least try and learn, because I know we are in this investing era. Like, investing is now becoming like a second language to a lot of people now, and it's so popular, and people are trying to dig in, especially obviously due to recent I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get mad, but recent things have happened in these unprecedented times that we're in. I'll just say that. It's the investing has been something that people are trying to dive into, but some people are afraid. But the fact that you're open to at least jump in It's beautiful. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's we're recording a little bit later in the night.
It's okay. It's okay.
So, Bishop, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time out of your day, out of your night, to really sit down and really teach some gems and share some stories that you've been through. This is the DHomer Real Estate Podcast, guys, episode 3. You can catch me or catch the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts. You can watch the visuals on YouTube. And please follow my socials, DHomer Real Estate on Facebook, Twitter, no, Facebook, Instagram, and you can follow the DHomer Real Estate Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and yeah. Do you have any socials that you want to shout out? Shout out to LCC.
Yeah, shout out to LCC. You can check us out, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. I can't keep up with y'all young people with all your passwords and stuff. It gets too much for me, man. But I understand the significance and importance of it. But take the time to educate yourself when it comes to money. Do your research, do your due diligence, and make sure you have a financial advisor. I can't stress it enough. Make sure you have a mentor to help you out, regarding your finances. Make sure you share and you communicate your stories. A lot of us die in silence because we choose not to share. I love the comment you said, I think it was people's ignorance or something like that, or lack of sharing is costing more than anything else. As a pastor and, as an investor and entrepreneur, and running businesses, one of the things the most interesting thing I find is when I do a funeral. I go to the graveyard and I see all these tombstones, and I often cry out to God and say, how many dreams, how many passions, how much education, how much value, how much riches, how much entrepreneurs, how much businessmen, how many successful people, like how much opportunities are lost in the grave, and people didn't have the opportunity to maximize it, and they died with their dream, they died with their vision, they died with it. I don't want to die with no vision. I don't want to die with anything that I didn't exploit or pour everything out. And when I die, I want to make sure I had nothing left within me. I've exhausted, I tried everything, and I've made it by the grace of God, and I was able to pass that knowledge on. I passed that wisdom on, and somebody else is living greater and better because of my investment. That's what I mean by, not dying without a vision, or dying taking my money to the grave, because it's not going with me. It's going to go to my family. It's going to go to, loved ones and charity, but it's not going to come with me to the grave. And the best thing I can do as a father, as a husband, as a brother, as a man, is to leave an inheritance for my children's children.
Amen. Amen. So again, thank you again for taking the time. I can go on for days, but thank you so much.
Same here, man. Same here.
I hope you enjoyed the rest of your evening, and we will definitely be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity, and make sure you smash that like button.
Yes.
And subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Yes. Do what he says.
Yeah. God bless you.
Take care.